They really thought they won. The narcissist really believed they had beaten you. They walked away, chasing excitement, chasing ego, chasing attention, chasing somebody who looked easier to control and easier to impress. In their mind, the new supply felt like freedom, while you felt too serious, too grounded, too difficult to manipulate. And for a little while, the narcissist probably felt powerful, powerful watching you go silent, powerful pretending they had upgraded their life, powerful thinking they could wound you and still come back whenever they wanted. But pride blinds people before consequences arrive. The narcissist mistook peace for weakness, mistook loyalty for boredom, mistook emotional stability for something common. Meanwhile, the new supply came wrapped in noise, fast emotions, constant validation, endless reactions. Everything felt thrilling in the beginning. Every conversation carried intensity. Every moment fed the narcissist's ego like gasoline feeding a fire. But fire never asks permission before it spreads. And slowly, almost quietly at first, the narcissist started opening the door to something darker than they expected, because chaos always looks entertaining from a distance, until it moves into your house. Scripture warns over and over again that people who live by impulse eventually reap confusion. Not immediately, not overnight, but piece by piece, decision by decision, compromise by compromise. The narcissist never saw it coming. While they were busy feeding their ego, God was teaching you how to live without them. While they were busy chasing cheap thrills, you were learning how to protect your peace. And now the narcissist stands in a reality they never expected to face, because the same peace they mocked became the one thing they could no longer find. And what once looked exciting was slowly turning into a living nightmare. 1. The fun relationship turned into a living nightmare. The narcissist laughed at peace, laughed at stability, laughed at the kind of love that did not need games to survive. And now look at them. The same relationship that once felt exciting has turned into emotional warfare almost every single day, because toxic excitement always comes with a hidden bill attached to it. At first, the narcissist probably loved the chaos, loved the attention, loved feeling chased, desired, emotionally stimulated every hour of the day. The new supply reacted to everything. Every emotion became a scene. Every disagreement became drama. Every small problem exploded into something exhausting, and the narcissist mistook all of it for passion. But passion built on instability never stays beautiful for long. Eventually, the late-night arguments stopped feeling exciting. The constant phone calls stopped feeling flattering. The jealousy stopped feeding the ego. And, little by little, the narcissist started realizing they could not breathe inside the very situation they once chose over you. See, real peace does not scream for attention. Chaos does. Confusion does. Immaturity does. That is why the narcissist got addicted to the noise in the beginning. The relationship kept feeding the flesh. Constant réaction. Constant emotional highs. Constant tension. It distracted them from their emptiness for a while. But God never designed human beings to live surrounded by confusion. Scripture says God is not the author of confusion but of peace. And eventually, confusion always reveals its true face. Now the narcissist wakes up stressed, sleeps stressed, walks around mentally exhausted. The relationship drains them instead of building them. Even silence inside the house probably feels heavy now. Not peaceful. Heavy. Like two people sitting inside. Consequences. Neither one knows how to escape. And what makes this even darker is the narcissist cannot pretend anymore. They know they made the wrong choice. Deep down, they know it every time another argument starts. Every time another dramatic scene erupts. Every time their mind drifts back toward the peace they once had access to with you. because you were never the relationship filled with chaos. You were the relationship filled with stability. The narcissist simply lacked the maturity to recognize the difference. And honestly, some people only understand the value of calm after destruction enters their life. The narcissist wanted excitement more than wisdom, wanted stimulation more than loyalty, wanted ego validation more than something real. Now, the very thing they chased has become emotionally unbearable, not because the relationship suddenly changed overnight, because the mask finally fell off, and once the mask falls, reality gets ugly fast. The narcissist now finds themselves surrounded by constant tension, emotional instability, pressure, and confusion. What once looked entertaining now feels draining. What once looked attractive now feels dangerous. And the nightmare does not stop inside the relationship alone. Because once chaos enters somebody's personal life long enough, it starts spreading into everything connected to them. 2. The new supply started destroying every area of their life. Chaos never stays contained. First, it destroys peace. Then it reaches into every corner of a person's life until nothing feels stable anymore. And the narcissist is learning this lesson in real time. What started as emotional drama inside the relationship slowly began poisoning everything connected to them. Their sleep changed. Their focus changed. Their attitude changed. Even people around them started noticing something was wrong. Because stress leaves fingerprints on a person, you can hear it in their voice, see it in their face, feel it in their energy the moment they walk into a room. The narcissist may try pretending everything is fine in public, but pressure always exposes itself, eventually. A person cannot live inside confusion every day without it leaking into other areas of life. Now, work feels heavier, responsibilities feel harder, simple conversations turn into irritation. Their mind stays restless, even during quiet moments, because there is no real peace waiting for them when they go home. Toxic people do not only destroy relationships, they destroy environments. Suddenly, the narcissist starts dealing with unnecessary arguments, unnecessary stress, unnecessary humiliation, unnecessary emotional exhaustion. One problem creates another problem. One argument creates another consequence. One selfish decision opens the door for 5 more. That is how destruction operates. Not always through one massive explosion, sometimes through constant erosion, day by day, until a person wakes up one morning and barely recognizes the life they created. Proverb says, "A foolish person brings trouble upon their own house," and the narcissist now sits inside a house filled with tension they helped build themselves. Even family members may feel uncomfortable around the situation now. Friends may quietly distance themselves. People get tired of constant drama after a while, especially people who value peace. Nobody wants to constantly walk on eggshells around emotional instability. Nobody wants to be trapped inside another person's chaos every single day. And the narcissist feels it. They feel the judgment. They feel the embarrassment. They feel the weight of realizing the relationship they once showed off proudly is now becoming a source of stress, shame, and emotional fatigue. Worse than that, they cannot easily escape it, because unhealthy attachments become prisons very quickly. The same emotional intensity that once felt addictive now feels suffocating. The same attention that once boosted their ego now drains their energy. The same relationship they used to justify losing you now forces them to confront themselves. And nothing terrifies a narcissist more than being forced to sit with the consequences of their own decisions. Especially after realizing the person they walked away from was never the true problem to begin with. Because while their life keeps filling with confusion, another truth keeps haunting them quietly. You never brought this kind of chaos into their life. 3. They realized you were never the problem. The The narcissist blamed you for things they were never mature enough to understand. They called you difficult because you had boundaries, called you cold because you stopped tolerating disrespect, called you distant because you refused to chase them while they played games with your heart. But now, life is forcing the narcissist to confront a truth they spent a long time running from. You were never the problem. You were never the chaos. You were never the emotional exhaustion draining the life out of them every day. In fact, the narcissist only fully recognized your value after losing access to you. Funny how clarity arrives after consequences, because now they have something to compare your presence to. Now they understand the difference between peace and confusion, between loyalty and manipulation, between emotional safety and emotional warfare. When the narcissist was with you, they probably overlooked the quiet things that actually mattered, the calm conversations, the emotional stability, the moments where life simply felt safe. They treated those things like they were ordinary, because their ego constantly needed stimulation. Some people do not appreciate calm waters until they almost drown in a storm. And now every argument inside their current situation keeps reminding them what they lost. Every stressful night reminds them, every humiliating scene reminds them, every exhausting conversation reminds them. You carried yourself differently. You did not wake up searching for chaos. You did not need emotional games to feel important. You did not weaponize love just to control somebody. The narcissist sees the difference now. The narcissist followed whatever looked exciting in the moment, followed ego, followed temptation, followed validation, and now the road they chose is exposing exactly where those decisions lead. Straight into emptiness, because toxic excitement burns fast, but real peace holds value over time. And deep down, the narcissist knows something else now. You did not lose when they walked away. They did. You lost confusion. You lost manipulation. You lost instability. Meanwhile, the narcissist lost the one person who genuinely brought calm into their life. That realization is beginning to hit harder than they expected, especially because your absence no longer feels temporary. At first, the narcissist probably assumed you would eventually fold, eventually reach out, eventually reopen the door. Narcissists often believe access to people lasts forever. They mistake patience for weakness. They mistake forgiveness for permanent availability. But your silence changed everything. Your distance changed everything. The moment you stopped reacting emotionally, the narcissist lost control of the story they created inside their mind. And now they sit there wondering why your absence feels heavier than the relationship they chose over you. Because peace leaves a different kind of memory inside a person. Before we go deeper, comment 77 below if God has been teaching you how valuable your peace truly is. Sometimes losing the wrong people becomes the first step toward protecting the life heaven was trying to build for you all along. And while the narcissist keeps replaying everything they lost with you, another problem is growing inside them quietly. Your silence is starting to affect them far more than your words ever did. Fool. Your silence became their mental punishment. The narcissist expected pain from you, expected anger, expected begging, expected long emotional messages filled with heartbreak and confusion. Because narcissists survive off reactions, attention feeds them, emotional access feeds them, control feeds them. But your silence created something far more terrifying than a fight ever could. It created distance the narcissist could no longer control. Arguments still keep people emotionally connected. Drama still creates attachment. Even pain can make a narcissist feel important because your emotions revolve around them. But silence feels like death to somebody addicted to control. The moment you stopped explaining yourself, stopped defending yourself, stopped trying to fix things, the narcissist broke themselves. The emotional power started shifting completely. And deep down, they felt it immediately. Your silence became a mirror a mirror forcing the narcissist to sit alone with their own choices. No validation coming from your reactions anymore, just consequences. And honestly, this part destroys narcissists more than people realize, because once your attention disappears, they lose the fantasy version of themselves they built inside their own mind. They can no longer pretend they won if you are no longer emotionally available to witness it. That is why your silence keeps haunting them. Not because you screamed, not because you threatened them, not because you tried to destroy them, but because you walked away carrying your peace with you, and now the narcissist sits inside noise they created themselves. Scripture says, there is a time to remain silent and a time to speak. Your silence became wisdom. Your silence became protection. Your silence became the boundary the narcissist never believed you would actually keep. And every day you remain emotionally unavailable forces them deeper into realization. You were not chasing them anymore. You finally understood something powerful. People who cannot recognize your worth while they have access to you usually recognize it only after losing access completely. Now the narcissist watches from a distance. Watches your calmness. Watches your growth. Watches your emotional detachment. And every bit of peace you carry now exposes how chaotic their own life has become. Because your silence removed the escape route, the narcissist can no longer blame you for their misery, cannot dump emotional confusion onto you anymore, cannot use your reactions to avoid facing the damage inside their own life. Now they are stuck hearing their own thoughts, and their thoughts are becoming brutal. They replay conversations, replay choices, replay moments where they ignored red flags, replay opportunities they wasted with you. A narcissist can run from accountability for a long time, but eventually silence catches up to them because silence leaves room for reflection. And reflection becomes torture once somebody realizes they destroyed something real for temporary pleasure. The narcissist probably thought your silence meant weakness in the beginning. Now they understand your silence meant finality. And finality terrifies people who assumed they would always have another chance, especially because the relationship they chose instead keeps getting worse. What once looked manageable now feels impossible to escape, and the narcissist is beginning to realize something frightening. The chaos surrounding them is no longer temporary anymore. 5. The new supply became impossible to escape. The narcissist thought they were entering a relationship. What they really entered was a trap built from their own impulses, because unhealthy attachments do not simply disappear once the excitement fades. They tighten, they consume, they become heavier with time. And now, the narcissist finds themselves emotionally stuck inside something they no longer enjoy, but cannot easily escape. Everywhere they turn, there is pressure at home, pressure inside conversations, pressure inside their own mind. Even moments that should feel normal now feel emotionally exhausting because the relationship itself has become rooted in instability. And the narcissist knows it. You can only fake happiness for so long before reality starts showing on your face. The narcissist may still try to act prideful in public, still try pretending everything is under control. But deep down, panic has already entered the situation, because the new supply no longer feels exciting. Now, they feel emotionally draining. The same emotional intensity the narcissist once chased now follows them everywhere like a shadow they cannot outrun. And honestly, this is where selfish decisions begin turning into consequences. The narcissist once believed they could play with people's emotions without eventually damaging their own life. They thought they could keep chasing ego boosts, validation, and temporary pleasures, while still maintaining control over the outcome. But sin always overpromises and underdelivers. And the narcissist is starting to feel trapped by the very life they created. Even their freedom feels gone now. They cannot think clearly, cannot rest properly, cannot escape the emotional tension surrounding them. The relationship keeps demanding attention, drama, emotional reactions, constant reassurance, constant conflict. One issue gets solved, and another appears immediately after it. And here is the part hitting the narcissist hardest. They know they had another option. They remember the version of life they could have had with you. Now every stressful moment becomes another reminder of what they traded away. Because once somebody experiences enough chaos, peace starts looking priceless. The narcissist probably mocked your calm nature before, probably viewed your emotional maturity as boring, but now they would give almost anything just to feel emotionally safe again. That realization is crushing them slowly, especially because the relationship no longer feels temporary anymore. The narcissist may even feel scared to leave now, because toxic bonds become dangerous once emotional instability, dependency, obsession, or manipulation fully enter the connection, so they stay miserable, exhausted, mentally drained, trying to survive a situation they once proudly chose over you, and every single day inside that chaos keeps forcing another realization deeper into their mind. They destroyed their own peace with their own hands. Meanwhile, your absence keeps growing heavier in their spirit, not because you are chasing them, not because you are begging for attention, but because distance has a strange way of revealing value, especially after somebody loses access to the one person who brought calm into their life. Now the narcissist cannot stop thinking about what life would feel like if they had chosen differently. 6. They started fantasizing about the life they could have had with you. The narcissist cannot stop replaying the life they almost had, the feeling of knowing somebody genuinely loved them without needing chaos to keep the connection alive. And now those memories hit differently, because pain changes perspective very quickly. Back then, the narcissist looked at your peace and saw boring. Now they look at their current reality and finally understand peace was the blessing. Funny how people overlook water until they are dying of thirst. Because the narcissist now wakes up inside a life that constantly drains them emotionally. Every stressful conversation pushes their mind back toward you. Every exhausting argument reminds them how calm life used to feel before they sabotaged it. And the deeper the chaos grows around them, the more your absence begins haunting them, like silence inside an empty church. The narcissist remembers how safe your presence felt, how grounded your spirit felt, how you did not constantly create emotional confusion just to feel powerful. You loved without trying to destroy them. And sadly, some people only recognize healthy love after they lose access to it completely. Now the narcissist sits there imagining alternate versions of life. What if they had chosen loyalty instead of ego? What if they had protected the connection instead of feeding temptation? What if they had stopped playing games before losing somebody heaven placed in their life for a reason? Those thoughts keep returning because regret has finally entered the picture. Real regret. Not regret over losing control. Regret over destroying something valuable with their own hands. And the narcissist knows your love carried substance. You brought peace into their life naturally. The kind of peace people pray for after surviving enough storms. Now they look around and realize the relationship they chose instead keeps producing exhaustion, tension, and emotional confusion, while your life keeps moving forward without them. That part wounds their pride deeply, because narcissists always assume people will wait forever. Assume access never expires. Assume apologies can come later. Assume there will always be another opportunity to return once they finish chasing distractions. But time does not stand still for anybody, and while the narcissist kept feeding temporary desires, you were learning how to emotionally release what no longer aligned with your spirit. You stopped carrying dead weight, stopped fighting for somebody committed to misunderstanding your value, stopped begging for consistency from somebody addicted to chaos. Now the narcissist watches from a distance, realizing something painful. You did not fall apart after losing them. You became stronger, and deep down, they know something else too. If they had chosen you correctly the first time, life would feel very different right now. Before we continue, take a moment and type peace in the comments if God has been teaching you to stop confusing chaos with love. Some doors close because heaven refuses to let confusion follow you into your next season. And while the narcissist keeps fantasizing about the life they lost access to, another realization is beginning to crush them even harder. They are finally starting to understand the true cost of ego and cheap thrills. 7. They finally understand the cost of ego and cheap thrills. The narcissist wanted excitement more than wisdom, wanted validation more than loyalty, wanted temporary pleasure more than something capable of lasting through real life. And now, they are finally learning what ego actually costs a person, because ego always promises control in the beginning. It whispers things like, "You deserve better. You can always come back later. Go see what else is out there. Keep your options open. Protect your pride first." But ego never warns people about the destruction waiting on the other side of selfish decisions. Now look at the narcissist, emotionally exhausted, mentally restless, spiritually empty, surrounded by confusion they created with their own hands. The frightening part is the narcissist probably ignored warning signs the entire time. Deep down, they likely felt moments where their conscience tried speaking to them, moments where something inside said, "This is wrong. This is not peace. You are risking something valuable." But pride has a dangerous way of silencing wisdom, especially when somebody becomes addicted to feeding the flesh. Scripture says, "There is pleasure in sin for a season, not forever." And the narcissist is now reaching the part nobody talks about enough. The aftermath, the emotional crash after the excitement fades, the silence after the noise stops feeling entertaining, the emptiness after ego gets everything it thought it wanted. Because cheap thrills always expire, what remains afterward is the damage, and perhaps the hardest realization of all. The narcissist traded something real for something temporary. You offered stability. The narcissist chose stimulation. You offered emotional safety. The narcissist chose emotional chaos. You offered consistency. The narcissist chose unpredictability because unpredictability fed the addiction inside them. But eventually, unstable people create unstable lives. Every selfish choice made by the narcissist slowly built the reality surrounding them now. Every ignored red flag, every manipulative decision, every moment where ego mattered more than integrity pushed them further away from peace. And now they cannot undo what already happened. That realization crushes people quietly, especially narcissists. Because narcissists survive by believing they are always in control of the outcome. They believe doors stay open forever, believe people remain emotionally available forever, believe apologies can always fix things later. But life does not work that way. God does not bless arrogance forever. Eventually, consequences begin speaking louder than excuses. Now the narcissist looks back and realizes they were not winning when they walked away from you. They were sabotaging themselves. Every step away from peace brought them closer to confusion. Every decision driven by ego brought them closer to emptiness. And now the life they proudly chose is forcing them to confront truths they spent a long time avoiding. You were never holding them back. You were protecting them from themselves. But some people only recognize protection after destruction enters their life. Now the narcissist sits inside consequences they once laughed at, wondering how everything collapsed so badly, and the answer keeps staring them directly in the face. They destroyed their own life, chasing cheap thrills. 8. They destroyed their own life chasing cheap thrills. The narcissist thought life was a game, thought people were disposable, thought real love would wait forever while they chased distractions, fed their ego, and entertained temporary pleasures. Now look at what remains, a life filled with noise instead of peace. And somewhere deep inside, the narcissist already knows the truth. No amount of pride can silence anymore. They did this to themselves. Not bad luck. Their own choices built the very reality now suffocating them. Because every time the narcissist chose ego over wisdom, another crack formed in their life. Every time they ignored loyalty for validation, another piece of peace disappeared. Every time they treated your love like something replaceable, they moved one step closer toward the disaster now surrounding them. By the time the narcissist finally understood your value, you were already gone emotionally. You stopped fighting for somebody committed to self-destruction. Stopped begging for consistency from somebody addicted to chaos. Stopped shrinking yourself just to remain connected to somebody unwilling to protect what God placed in front of them. And eventually, your spirit reached the point where letting go became the only healthy choice left. The narcissist never believed that moment would actually come. They thought you would always leave the door cracked open, always remain emotionally reachable, always carry hope for a future together, no matter how badly they behaved. But time changed you. Pain changed you. God changed you. Now your peace matters more than your attachment to somebody who repeatedly chose confusion over commitment. And honestly, that may be the part destroying the narcissist most of all. Not simply losing you, but watching you become stronger without them. Watching you walk away with your dignity intact, while their own life keeps collapsing under the weight of impulsive decisions. Because your silence exposed something the narcissist spent a long time trying to avoid. Real power does not beg to be chosen. Real value does not chase validation. Real peace does not compete with chaos. Now the narcissist sits surrounded by consequences, replaying the very choices they once defended so confidently. The attention faded, the excitement faded, the ego rush faded. But consequences stayed, and maybe this entire situation became the lesson heaven needed them to learn. A person can chase cheap thrills for a while, but eventually, cheap thrills become expensive. So let the narcissist carry the life they chose. Let them sit with the noise they created. Let them face the reality built from their own decisions. And you? Keep protecting your peace. Keep walking forward. Keep thanking God for every closed door that saved you from a future filled with confusion disguised as love. Because losing the narcissist was never your destruction. It was your deliverance.